so glad that you are here. If you are not new, thank you so much for coming back. Today on my channel, we're on a little bit of a different setting. We are in my kitchen, just because I'm gonna go over with you guys how it is that I clean and sanitize my brushes. I know that my channel, I try to make sure that we touch every aspect of makeup, not just the makeup application. So this is a little different for me, but that's okay. So we are cleaning our brushes, and I usually get this question a lot when I'm working at Sephora. How do you clean your brushes? Do you just throw them away when you're done in 3 months, or do you soak them in water? What is it? What is the process? So the reason why you want to clean your brushes is you want to make sure they are, it's hygiene. You want to make sure they're clean. You want to make sure they are germ-free. You want to make sure you're getting the gunk off of them, because what happens is if you don't get it off the brush, it's going to end up on your face. That's where a lot of the times clients have clogged pores, they're breaking out, they're having reactions. It might not be the product themselves, it's just the brush, because it's not clean. Sometimes the brush just really gets nasty itself. You'll see the buildup and it won't really work the same. Could be a really expensive brush, but it's not working properly because it's not clean. So I want to share this with you guys because it is a question I get asked a lot. I usually tell clients there's 2 ways that you can clean your brush. You can always spot clean your brush, which just requires something like a towel and a cleaner that's in like a spray bottle, and you can just do that in between uses. I like to do it in between colors sometimes when I can't find a brush that's similar to the one that I'm using. That you can do every day, but even if you do this every day, you still want a deep clean, which is what I'm going to show you here, every week, if not every other week at the latest, okay? So with deep cleaning, I like to use a brush that is antibacterial. That's why I use Dial. I know that there are companies out there that sell soaps that are meant for brush cleaning, but I've used this for years now and I haven't had a problem with it. So this one is the Dial Gold Hydrating Body Wash. I usually use a marula oil one, but I didn't go shopping for soap. It was my fiance, so this is what I'm stuck with. So the one that I like is a marula oil, just because it keeps the bristles hydrated. Whether they're synthetic or real brushes, I always want to make sure that I'm taking care of my bristles, just because I can get a good 5 to 6 years out of my brushes if I am using the correct process to cleaning them. So because this one doesn't have the oil built in, what I'm going to do is mix it with the face oil that I've got here. So I'm going to use 2/3, a little more than that, of Dial, and then I'll do a few drops of the face oil to get it mixed in. So what I need is just a little container, so let me grab that. Got a container like this one that I'm going to put the Dial in. I start with about this much, and then I will add as I need, and then I'll go ahead and take the drops. This guy is a Lancer Omega Hydrating Oil. I've used this for everything. Yes, I put it on my skin, but I think earlier today I showed you guys on Instagram how I drop it into my dip brow for Anastasia, and it like brings it back to life. So I like to keep a face oil around. Don't use baby oil. Don't use mineral oil. Those oils are really toxic to the glue in the brushes, and they're not going to do anything for your brushes except mess them up. So I'm going to just take that and we'll mix it in. But the other thing that I have, besides the paper towels, is I have an actual towel. And this is where I'm going to let the brushes sit and dry overnight. Okay, I know the brushes are sitting like this now in my container. It's really important that when you're done washing your brushes, you don't let them sit back like this. The main reason for that is that this area right here is the glue that has the bristles connected to the actual handle. So you don't want that water soaking in and undoing the glue. You want to make sure that you can at least get one that hang down, and if you don't have that, which I don't, I usually just lay them down flat like this on the towel after I give them a good shake, making sure that I've removed as much water as I possibly can. Okay, so let's get started. I like to start with the big brushes and then work my way down to my little brushes. You guys can see how many brushes I have. A lot. And these are the ones that I use on a daily basis. The ones that I use on my client, I have those put away and I wash those every single day after I'm done, just because it's kind of nasty. So I'm going to move on to my foundation brushes first. I personally like to use lukewarm warm water. I don't like cold water for my hands. I don't know if there's a difference, but I just don't like it on my brushes either. And I like to start with the fluffiest, most dirtiest brush, which is this guy here. And what I'll do is I'll wet the brush, but before I go into that, it'd probably be important to show you the mat I use. So So this is the mat that I use to wash my brushes, and then I also have a handheld one that I will use to do like the eyeshadow brushes, the sponges, just because it's a little easier to control with the grip. But this guy I got on Amazon. It was like $8 to get on Amazon. It's like a dupe for the Sigma one, but that's way too expensive for a mat that cleans your brushes. But I like it just because it'll tell you wash face brushes, it has rinse the brushes, it has eye brushes. It's really nice because it'll like categorize depending on the type of brush, the section of the pad that you should be using. So I really like this guy. I've had this for a while too, and then it's got suction cups on the back that stick to whatever surface you put it in. So I usually just put it to the very bottom of my sink, and then I'll rinse the brush under the water and I'll run it a few times through the pad. The way that I know the brush is clean is that the water comes out clean. So that's something for you to look for too, is just continue to clean the brush out until the water comes out clean. Another test that I like to do is with my paper towels, especially with the eye brushes. I will rinse the brush, use the soap, run it through the mat, dry it off, and then sometimes I'll go back in and kind of run the bristles through the paper towel, and if I can still see eyeshadow coming out of it, I give it another run. Sometimes the brushes will be stained and you won't get the color off the whole way, but as long as you're not seeing the residue of the eyeshadow, you know that it's clean. All right, so let's go ahead and start. I'm gonna start with this big face brush. I like to keep the brush down like this, just prevent from having the brush sit up like that so the water can't get into that part. It's really important to preserve the life of your brush. So after I've got a nice amount of the soap on there, I'm just gonna start running it. I found throughout the years that the most amount of product, unless it's a foundation brush with the powders, doesn't really go all the way to the base of the brush. It's really the bristles that you have to worry about, like the very edges. So I like to make sure that I don't put too much pressure. Don't push way too down. Don't push a lot on the brushes. You want to be careful because if you push too hard on it, you can make the brush fall apart. So just very lightly, just kind of run it on the mat very lightly like this without pushing too hard on it, okay? But I can start to see already how all the foam up top here is clear. It's not the color of the powder or my foundation anymore, and that's what you're looking for. So I like to just rinse it out a few times, let the water come off, go back into the mat. I'm not adding any more soap because the mat has a lot of like suds still on it, and you don't need more soap for that, but just make sure that you clean it as much as possible. After I'm done, I'll go ahead and just kind of shake the brush off and get any excess water that I can off of the brush and the bristles so I can prevent damage. And then I will take a paper towel and I will go around the handle and clean the handle too, just because the handle gets dirty. And we'll do a little run test of any residue. Nope, got a brand new brush. And so I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing with all the face brushes. But before I move on and do the face brushes, let's talk about some eyeshadow brushes. So I've got some eyeshadow brushes here that are, this guy for example, I've had for almost 5 years. And it's the same process. So you just want to dip and get a little bit of that soap on there. Make sure it's wet. And I'll use the side of the pad that says wash face. Wash eyes, not face, eyes. And I'll run it through there. It's usually a little easier to get the eyeshadow brushes clean, more so than the foundation brushes. That's it. Make sure you shake the excess and your brushes are clean. Guys, that is it for this video today. It was short and sweet, to the point, and I hope that you guys liked it. If you want to see more videos like this, just comment down below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification button. That way you're aware of when I upload videos. Also, look me up on Instagram. It's Joviana De Jesus. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you next time.